So in this video, we're going to look at everything to do with materials and material database in OptiScout 9 from Neurosystems. So you can see I've got the software open at the moment, and the other thing I need to ensure that I have open is my actual database, which is just down here. You can see this little grey box. Now, if it's not open, you would have had a prompt as you're opening the software, but this has got to be open before you open the software. So we go to our programs, to all Neurosystems, and there you go, you see your server. Now you would shut down OptiScout, start up your server, start up OptiScout again, and everything will be okay. Now you can also go onto here and go to your settings by clicking it. Oh, I've opened it twice. Go to settings, and you can see we've got a box here for start automatically. So we can actually link our server to multiple different OptiScouts if we want to, but we can also export our library and import them into other OptiScouts if we need to as well. So there's multiple different ways that we can do these things. So I'm going to shut that down there. Now, first of all, if I just brought in a sort of shape, so if I go to my shape tool and right click, I'm going to bring in a circle like this. There we go. So there's my circle. With that circle comes a layer. Now at the moment we are in a material, you can see it says vinyl here. So if I click on the little sort of drop down arrow, I'm going to go to not defined. Now not defined means that this is not got any material attached to it. So we can manually input our parameters for our tool. And you'll see that the layer now looks like this. So we've got reg marks, it says default. Now it's on a layer called reg marks just because it's the very top one at the top of my list here. It doesn't mean anything at this point. It's not going to assign anything. It's not going to act as a reg mark. It is just a name of a layer. So I can go to where it says default. I can then choose a tool. So let's say it's going to be under UCT, Universal Cutting Tool. And I can go to this grey box here to edit those parameters. And you'll see, there we go, opens up, here's our parameters, rapid speed, how fast it's moving when it's not cutting, speed down, how fast it's moving when it is cutting, lift, how fast it lifts the tool, how fast it lowers the tool, the position up that it sits when it's not cutting, and Z position down, which is plus on our 0 position. So I can go 0.1, 0.2, 3, 4, and 5, but that's the maximum, as you can see from the dialog box there. Then we've got our overcuts. We can add overcuts to the end of the line or to the corners, and we can choose how much we would like in there. So I can press OK on that, and we've now manually set up a layer, so that's ready to go in theory. You can see we've got the UCT, there's a little picture there, and there's our settings. So that's setting up a tool without using the material library. Now, with the material library, we're going to have, it's going to be a lot quicker to set up, especially when we're doing multiple different jobs of the same sort of material, and also it gives us control over what parameters are being used for what material. So if I go up to the top here, it says not defined, we can see our material. I can go to the green box, and that will open up our library that looks like this. Now I've already got quite a few different materials in here. Now if I wanted to add a new one, I can just go to new, and I can add one in here. So if we add one called poster paper, I can then add a description. I like to put in what tool I'm going to be using, so UCT, and also what blade, so J311-1. Then I can choose a category, a media group. Now we've got fine art there, which technically could work. Now we can add these, and I'll show you where to add those in a little bit. Now we've also got thickness. So the thickness will not make any difference to your actual cutting. It doesn't change any parameters or anything like that. It's more just to categorize it within your setup. So I can say 0.1, let's say, on this one. I can put any comments in there. So let's say if this is set up particularly for a roll feed or sheets or whatever, we can put it all in there. Press apply, and then that opens up our edit material. Now in the middle bit, that's what we've just filled out. Then on the left-hand side, we're going to have a sort of a tree of all of our different settings. And then at the bottom here, we've got methods, delete material, and copy material. So delete and copy, they do what they say on the tin. We've got their methods. So if I click on that, so methods basically is the modes which we're using. So when I use poster paper, what sort of modes am I going to be using? So I'm going to be printing it, so I'm going to have registration marks on there. So that's going to be reg marks at the top here. And I'm going to be cutting it using my UCT, which is going to be using the word cut. When we use these, it means that we can actually link them to spot colors coming out of, let's say, Prepit or Onyx or Caldera or even just Illustrator. And then what it will do is it will automatically bring in the correct layer because it will have the correct spot color assigned to it. Now, if you don't have the correct spot color assigned to it, it doesn't actually matter, because let's say you've used the word, let's say, draw for the cut line, and all of your artwork is set up on cut. What will happen is that the layer will come up and it will say select method, and it will give you a drop down, and under there you'll see the word draw, and you can just choose that instead. So it's only adding a sort of one more click if you don't get it right at this stage. But you'd want to add all of the different methods that will be possible on this. So when we do sort of routing materials, we might have cut, we might have V-cut, V-groove, inlay, polish, all of those sort of things, and we'd set up every possible layer so it's all there ready to go. So I've just got reg marks and cut. I'm going to press apply, and you'll see that reg marks goes on the side there and then cut. Now we're not going to do anything with reg marks, I just like to have it in my preset. So what it's asking me now to do is under cut, default and Jingwei TB series, it's asking me now to assign a tool to it. So we said UCT, I'm going to press apply, and then at this point I can then add my parameters. So let's say the speed down, the cutting speed on this one actually needs to be 500, and we want the lift and lowering to be 1,000. Z position up can be 5 because it only needs to be a few mil above the material. Doesn't need any extra depth, doesn't need any overcuts or anything like that, so that's all good. I'm going to press close. Now it might not appear straight away in there. Now it has, there it is, but if it doesn't, you just press close and then go back into it and you'll see it in there. Now if I wanted to make another one that's really similar, let's say it's like a heavy poster paper, I can go copy material. Now at this point it's a bit confusing because it disappears. So if you go display all materials at the bottom, you'll see that it's now popped up with this warning triangle, and that's because it's a copy and we need to edit it. So I'm going to double click on it. I'm going to then change the name. So this will be heavy, like that. And then I'm going to click on my method, which is the UCT. And let's say, for example, all I need to do on this one is add a 0.1 of extra depth on there just to help it cut through. I'm going to press close. And again, it hasn't come in, so press close on there. Go back in, and we've got a heavy poster paper in there now as well. So we can also see that this ACM one is in completely the wrong method, so let's edit that one, and we'll change that from that to rigid board. Close that. Now if we wanted to make some new sort of material types categories, then we can go to edit, we can go to settings, and we can go to edit material types, and we can create new ones in here. So we can just add whatever you'd like in here. So we've got one router, foam, whatever. If you'd like to import materials, we can go onto here, and we can then import a material library. So let's say presets there, open that up, and I can select all of those and import those from there. If I'd like to export, I can click on that, and we can then select again all of those, and we can export it to a location. Now your library automatically backs up as well, and that backs up onto the onto your actual software, so you always have a backup in there as well, which is great. You can add new methods. So we were saying about all these names in here. Let's say you have a different name for it, like this cut 1, 2, 3 at the bottom. That would mean that you can then add that, and then that can be the spot color that follows this, follows the job through. Close that, and close that. Now if I close this one, like I said, we've now got poster paper here. As you can see, it says reg mark select method. Because this shape here is not assigned to a spot color, it asks us to select a method. Now, if we'd made this in Illustrator, it would be assigned to a spot color, and we can then make it so it's assigned to cut, and it would automatically bring cut in. So if we go to cut, UCT, now we have this green option here. So I'm going to click on that one, and again, it's just our parameters for this tool. So I'm going to go to rapid speed, and let's say that's too quick, I want to put 500 in there. Now what happens is that we get a warning triangle on there. The warning triangle is showing us that it's basically changed our value. So we've done something to it. So it says, if I hover over it, value in database of 1,000, and we've got a value at the moment of 500. So it's sort of warning us about that. Now, if I wanted to, I can press standard, it will go back to standard, and it will read the value from the database, or I can save it, which will overwrite the value. But if I just press apply to use this just for this one job, you'll see that it comes up with a warning triangle now on our layer. So that's a really good thing to look out for. And if I hover over it, it says basically that the job has been changed, and we need to just make sure that everything's okay. So if I go back into here, press standard, press apply. So that job has now got a material applied to it. So I can choose any of the other ones on the fly, and that will update those settings. So that's how we utilize our material database in Eurosystem's OptiScout 9.